I want you to picture curtains moving, not blowing, moving. The deliberate kind. The kind that means someone just let go of the fabric a half second before you looked up. That's Bombay Beach. That's the feeling. You roll down a grid of streets, no stoplights, no pedestrians, no dog walkers, no kids on bikes, nobody checking a mailbox. And somehow, you still know you've been clocked. Somewhere between block 2 and block 4, a signal goes out. Not a phone call, something older. Screen door code. And by the time you park, the whole town already knows. You're a looky-loo, driving slow, out of county plates. I wasn't even trying to find this place, and that's the part that still gets me. I was headed to Salvation Mountain. That was the plan. The whole plan. You know the one. Leonard Knight, one man, 30 years, 500,000 gallons of donated paint, a hallucination of a hillside that says God is love, in letters you can see from space, more or less. That's the trip everyone tells you to take. Nobody warned you about the detour. Because on the way, the desert just opens, and there's a sea out there, an actual sea, blue-gray and enormous, sitting in the middle of the Sonoran like somebody's practical joke. And before you've processed that, a green highway sign flickers past. Bombay Beach. Population, allegedly 295. A number frozen sometime around the Obama administration because nobody's bothered updating it since. The real count's closer to 200, and even that's a guess because who's counting? Most people let that sign go by. I didn't. I had to hit the brakes and stop for a few minutes. This is Drive-Thru Towns. I'm your host, Andrew Wilcox. Now, here's the thing about Bombay Beach. It was never supposed to exist. And then it was never supposed to end. And now it's not supposed to be beautiful. And it's all three anyway. Start at the beginning. 1905. A canal breaks. Not metaphorically, actually, mechanically breaks. An irrigation cut gone wrong in the Colorado River. Engineers try to patch it, but they fail. For 18 months, the entire Colorado River pours into a dry desert basin like God left the bathtub running and went on vacation. When they finally plug the leak, there's a sea. 376 square miles of it. Nobody planned this. It's the largest lake in California, and it's a mistake, an oopsie-daisy with a shoreline. Now, America being America, somebody looked at the accident and saw a business opportunity. Enter R.E. Gilligan. No relation to the island, though give it time, a land who staked a town site on the eastern shore in 1929 and needed a name that sold sunshine. Bombay evoked the exotic. Never mind that it's 223 feet below sea level, the lowest incorporated dirt in the country, sitting on the southern terminus of the San Andreas Fault. So technically, you're vacationing at a spot where California's most famous crack in the earth simply gives up and stops. By the 50s, the gamble paid off spectacularly. The Salton Riviera, they called it. The North Shore Yacht Club opened in 1959, biggest marina in Southern California. And Sinatra came. Bing Crosby came. The Beach Boys, the Marx Brothers, Jerry Lewis. At its absolute peak, this stretch of desert pulled in 1.5 million tourists a year, more than Yosemite. Let that sit for a second. A puddle formed by a plumbing error outdrew the national park. And then the machine gun part of the story, the part that happens fast enough that it took 20 years and it died. No outlet. See, water comes in, water can't leave. So everything that ever ran off a farm field just stayed, concentrated. Salinity climbed past the Pacific Oceans. The fish went first. Tens of millions of them floating, then bleaching, then becoming the beach itself. A shoreline that isn't sand anymore, but pulverized bone, crunching soft under your boots like a bowl of broken porcelain. The birds went next, feeding on poisoned fish. 15,000 of them dead in a single year, 1996 alone. The smell arrived and never left. Sweet and sour and industrial, like a fish market's dumpster left in the sun for a decade. By the 80s, the snowbirds and the speculators packed up. Some left furniture, just walked out of their kitchen tables. What's left behind the berm, because yes, there's a literal dike now holding the sea back from finishing the job, is a grid of streets half occupied, half abandoned, and entirely reclaimed by something nobody saw coming: art. In 2016, a trio of very well-connected outsiders, an Italian prince who makes films, a Hollywood hotelier, and an heir to the Johnson & Johnson fortune, have been running something called the Bombay Beach Biennale. They won't publish dates. You find out through word of mouth, or you don't go. And what they've built out of the wreckage is something between an art fair and a fever dream. An opera house assembled inside a gutted house. Its walls papered floor to ceiling in flip-flops, left by refugees, mostly from Nigeria. No one's fully explained why, and somehow that's the point. A drive-in theater built entirely from rusted-out cars and dead golf carts, aimed at a semi-trailer screen. A museum that's just somebody's abandoned bungalow, now full of melancholy scriptures with cigarette faces. And in the middle of it, doing the actual work of keeping a town alive, is the Ski Inn, self-billed as the lowest bar in the Western Hemisphere. Every wall and ceiling tile shingled in dollar bills. I have one of them up there. Thousands of them are up there, signed and dated by every stranger who ever wandered in since the 50s. It's the one constant. Everything else here got born, died, and got resurrected, an installation of art. The bar just kept pouring. Here's what I kept coming back to. In one afternoon, Salvation Mountain, then Bombay Beach, then further down the road to a place called East Jesus, where a blind dog wanders a junkyard cathedral entirely from other people's garbage. You get the entire American operating system in miniature. Build something out of nothing, watch it collapse under its own optimism, and then watch somebody else show up, look at the wreckage, and see material. Leonard Knight didn't ask permission to paint a mountain. Gilligan didn't ask permission to name a swamp after Bombay. The Biennale didn't ask permission to turn a dead man's living room into an opera house. Nobody in this story asked permission for anything. That's not the bug. That's the whole national personality, running uncut, out where the land's too cheap and too ugly for anyone to stop you. I sat in my car outside the Ski Inn for a minute before I went in. Engine was off, windows up, and I swear I still felt it. Eyes from every trailer, every burned out shell, every curtain that had already stopped moving by the time I noticed. They weren't watching a tourist. They were watching to see if the town would still be there when I looked back. This has been Drive-Thru Towns. I'm your host, Andrew Wilcox. A special thanks to Chloe Jones for providing our music. If you enjoyed this journey, please follow the podcast to stay updated on all our upcoming episodes. To keep the conversation going, you can connect with me on Instagram at 50 State Family. Find me on LinkedIn under Wilcox Legal, or reach out directly via email at wilcoxlegal@gmail.com. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you on the next road.
'Cause I was wandering free on an American dream with a million things to see and do. But it's all good, I'm fine. Had the time of my life, 'cause I did it all. We